There's a kind of love that doesn't arrive when you're hunting for it. It appears in the stillness. When you stop performing, stop proving, and finally exhale into who you truly are. We spend so much of our lives chasing connection, mistaking intensity for intimacy and motion for meaning. But the love that changes us doesn't demand pursuit, it asks for presence. It finds us when we no longer need it to complete us, but when we're finally ready to meet it. We live in a world that teaches us to believe that love is something we must find, that it exists somewhere out there, waiting to be captured, claimed, or convinced. So, we search. We search with our minds, our fingers, our profiles. We craft versions of ourselves designed to attract, to impress, to be chosen. But in doing so, we often lose the very essence of what love is meant to reveal who we are when we stop performing. When we are constantly in pursuit, we confuse movement with progress. We mistake the noise of our effort for the presence of connection. Yet love, real love, rarely arrives in the chaos of striving. It comes in the quiet, the moments when you stop trying to manufacture it and begin to let it unfold. The paradox of searching is that the harder we try to control love, the more elusive it becomes. It's like chasing your own shadow. The closer you get, the further it moves. Because love is not a product of effort, it's a byproduct of authenticity. It resists our checklists, our timelines, our expectations. You can swipe through 1,000 faces and still feel unseen. You can meet all the right criteria and still not feel known. What we often search for in love is not another person. It's relief. Relief from loneliness, from uncertainty, from the ache of not being enough. But when love becomes an escape, it loses its truth. Love was never meant to rescue us. It was meant to recognize us. And perhaps that's the quiet tragedy of modern romance. We have become experts at searching, but amateurs at being found. We curate, we perform, we anticipate. We trade mystery for marketability. But the kind of love that finds you is not interested in your performance. It's drawn to your presence. It arrives when you stop proving, when you no longer need to be validated by being chosen. It finds you when you are at peace with the possibility that being alone is not the same as being unworthy. Sometimes not searching is not an act of apathy. It's an act of faith. It's trusting that love is not something to be achieved, but something to be allowed. That maybe the space you create by not filling it with noise is exactly where love can finally breathe. In the stillness, something sacred happens. You stop reaching for someone to complete you, and you start noticing how complete you already are. You stop looking for signs and start becoming one, for the kind of love that doesn't demand pursuit, but simply waits to be recognized. And that's when love appears, not as a prize for effort, but as a reflection of presence. It doesn't arrive because you hunted it down. It arrives because you became still enough to receive it. The love that finds you doesn't arrive to fix what is broken. It comes to meet what has been growing quietly within you. Before love enters, life has a way of shaping you, refining you, preparing you in ways you don't always understand while you're in it. The solitude that once felt unbearable starts to reveal its purpose. The heartbreaks that once seemed like cruel detours begin to look more like necessary redirections. Every disappointment, every ending, every lonely night, it all becomes part of the curriculum of becoming. Because love doesn't come to those who are desperate to be saved, it comes to those who have learned how to hold themselves. We often mistake waiting for preparation, but waiting is passive. It's the hope that something external will come along and change the story. Preparation, on the other hand, is active. It's the quiet work of tending to your own heart, of learning to sit in the discomfort of not knowing and still choosing to grow. It's the moment you realize that healing is not about being ready for someone else. It's about being ready for yourself. The truth is, love will never meet you at the level of your longing. It meets you at the level of your becoming. And becoming requires time, tenderness, and the willingness to face yourself honestly. We grow up believing that love will complete us, but the kind of love that finds you isn't looking for someone incomplete. It's looking for someone aware. It's drawn to the person who has met their own shadow and made peace with it. The one who has learned to listen to silence without running from it. The one who no longer confuses being alone with being unloved. When you start honoring your solitude, you begin to build a relationship with yourself that no one else can replace. You become less interested in being chosen and more committed to being whole. And that wholeness changes what you attract, what you allow, and what you call love. Because when you know how to be with yourself, you stop grasping at love out of fear. You stop needing someone to prove that you're enough. You start recognizing love not as a rescue, but as a reflection. And from that place, love becomes less about possession and more about partnership. It's no longer about what someone can give you, but about what you can create together. You meet from fullness, not from lack. You love because it's an overflow, not a need. The love that finds you doesn't fill your emptiness, it meets your wholeness. It doesn't arrive to complete your story. It joins you in writing the next chapter. So much of what we call love is not actually love. It's familiarity dressed as connection. We are drawn to what we know, even when what we know has hurt us. The chemistry that feels electric, the spark that feels undeniable, the magnetic pull toward someone who feels just right. So often, it's not destiny, it's memory. It's the nervous system recognizing an old pattern and mistaking it for home. And this is where we get lost, because we confuse intensity with intimacy and drama with depth. We think love should shake us, consume us, undo us. But what if real love doesn't take your breath away? What if it teaches you how to breathe differently? The kind of love that finds you doesn't arrive to replay your past. It invites you to rewrite it. It's the kind that doesn't mirror your wounds, but reflects your healing. Yet to experience this, you have to be willing to see the difference between chemistry and compatibility, between passion and peace. We're conditioned to believe that if it's calm, it must be boring. If it's steady, it must lack spark. But that's only because chaos has been our teacher. When your nervous system has learned to equate love with uncertainty, stability feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar, for many of us, feels unsafe. So we chase what hurts because at least we understand it. True connection doesn't demand that you lose yourself. It invites you to return to yourself. The love that finds you doesn't want you to shrink to fit its rhythm. It moves with you. It listens, it adjusts, it expands. It's not built on the rush of adrenaline, but on the quiet recognition that this person sees you. Not the idea of you, not the version you curate, but the real, living you. And that kind of seeing can feel unnerving at first because it's not performative, it's intimate. It requires you to stand still in your truth without needing to be anything more or less. Love becomes conscious when it's chosen, not chased, when it's grounded in awareness rather than fear. When it's not about finding someone to fill the silence, but about finding someone who can sit in it with you. The kind of love that finds you isn't trying to impress you, it's trying to understand you. It doesn't ignite with fireworks. It grows like sunlight, slowly, consistently, with warmth instead of sparks. And the beauty of that love is that it doesn't fade when the novelty wears off. It deepens when the masks come off. Because real love isn't supposed to keep you on edge. It's supposed to bring you home. We all carry stories about how love should unfold. Stories shaped by what we've seen, what we've lost, what we've been told. Somewhere along the way, we start to believe that love must arrive on schedule, look a certain way, or feel a certain intensity. We create silent blueprints in our minds, how they should act, how we should feel, what the right relationship should look like. And then, when life doesn't follow the script, we call it disappointment. But sometimes it's not disappointment, it's redirection. Sometimes the story you wrote for love is too small for the love that's meant for you. Letting go of the narrative is not easy. The human mind craves certainty. It wants to make sense of love, to contain it, to define it. But love is not a story you write, it's an experience you live. And living it means surrendering your control over how it's supposed to look. Many of us are more in love with the idea of love than with the reality of it. We fall in love with potential, with fantasy, with the comfort of what we imagine rather than the truth of what is. But love, real love, is not found in idealization. It's found in the raw, imperfect, beautiful mess of two people choosing to meet each other as they are. When we cling to the narrative, we often overlook the people who don't fit it. We say, it shouldn't be this hard, or it should feel different. We use should as a shield to protect ourselves from vulnerability. But love doesn't fit neatly into expectations. It's unpredictable, inconvenient, and at times uncomfortable. Yet, it's often in those moments of discomfort that something true begins to form. A connection that's not about meeting an image, but about meeting a human being. Sometimes the one you didn't notice at first becomes the one who sees you most deeply. Sometimes love grows in places your story never mentioned. In friendship, in patience, in the quiet consistency that builds trust over time. Sometimes the person you thought you wanted was just a lesson preparing you for the one who could actually love you. And sometimes, love doesn't look like a grand entrance. It looks like a steady presence. Releasing the story doesn't mean you stop believing in love. It means you stop dictating its terms. It means you allow life to surprise you. Because when you do, you discover that love is less about following a script and more about learning a new language, one written in honesty, vulnerability, and timing. The love that finds you may not look the way you imagined, but it will feel like truth. It's one thing to long for love, to dream of it, to speak its language in theory, but it's another to actually let it in. Receiving love is one of the most courageous acts we can allow ourselves. And yet it's the one we often resist the most. We think we're ready for love because we want it, but wanting love and being open to receive it are not the same thing. To receive love, you must be willing to be seen without your defenses, without your stories, without your masks. You have to let someone witness the parts of you you've spent a lifetime protecting. And that is terrifying because love exposes what you've tried so hard to hide, even from yourself. We build walls to keep pain out, but those same walls keep love from coming in. We learn to perform strength, to appear self-sufficient, to say we're fine even when we're not. But love doesn't want the version of you that's fine. It wants the version that's real. It wants the one that trembles when touched by tenderness, the one that struggles to trust but still hopes anyway. We talk so much about the courage it takes to love someone, but rarely about the courage it takes to be beloved. Because to be loved is to surrender control. It's to stand there, unguarded, and let someone's care reach you without shrinking, doubting, or deflecting it. Many of us have learned to give love easily. It feels safer. When we give, we stay in charge of how much we risk. But receiving means relinquishing that control. It means believing you are worthy of love, not because of what you offer, but simply because you exist. It means allowing love to touch the places that feel undeserving and to soften the parts hardened by survival. And that's not weakness. It's profound strength. When love finds you, it doesn't ask you to impress. It doesn't need you to be perfect, to perform, or to earn. It just asks for presence. It asks that you meet it fully, that you stop measuring whether you're too much or not enough, and simply let yourself be met. Love cannot heal you from a distance. It can only do so when you allow it close enough to matter. To receive love is to risk being changed by it, and change is always uncomfortable. But that's what makes it sacred. It reshapes you not by demanding you become someone else, but by revealing more of who you already are. Because in the end, love is not something you achieve, it's something you allow. The love that finds you is not a finish line, it's a beginning. We often think that once love arrives, the work is done, that we can finally rest in the comfort of being chosen. But love isn't a prize for endurance or a reward for healing. It's a living, breathing force that continues to grow, change, and challenge us. It's not static, it evolves as you do. The moment you treat love as an arrival, it begins to fade. But when you see it as an ongoing journey of discovery, it deepens, matures, and becomes something far more meaningful than the fantasy you once imagined. Every relationship you enter is an invitation to learn more about yourself. Love has a way of showing you the parts of you that are still tender, still unhealed, still learning how to trust. The person standing before you becomes a mirror, not always a flattering one, but an honest reflection of who you are becoming. This is why real love requires courage. Because to sustain love, you must be willing to evolve with it. You have to let go of the illusion that it will always feel easy or familiar. Sometimes love will hold you gently, and sometimes it will confront you. It will ask for your patience, your forgiveness, your humility. And in return, it will offer growth that solitude alone could never give you. When love finds you, it doesn't mark the end of your solitude, it transforms it. The quiet inner space you once built to hold yourself now becomes a space you learn to share. You begin to navigate the delicate balance between self and togetherness, between freedom and belonging. This balance is what keeps love alive, because love dies when it becomes possession. It suffocates when one person's growth demands the other's shrinking. The kind of love that endures allows both people to expand, to keep becoming. It knows that closeness is not the same as fusion, and that the distance between two souls is what gives love room to breathe. To love deeply is to accept that both you and the person beside you will change. The way you love at the beginning will not be the way you love years later. And that's not failure, that's evolution. The connection that finds you will not remain untouched by time, it will be shaped by it. The question is not how to keep love from changing, but how to keep changing with love. When you approach it as a continual unfolding rather than a completed story, you begin to see that the beauty of love lies not in its permanence, but in its willingness to grow with you through every version of who you become. Because real love doesn't end your search, it transforms it.